back to the channel. Actually, Aubrey. Let's bring up Alex W. Leath.
Yeah, you don't waste no time bringing me in, huh? Here I go. What's up?
You know what that is. You know what that is.
Like, oh my goodness, give me a moment to breathe here. Do something here. Sing a song, something.
You whatever. You've got about 5 seconds, so just hold on while I hit this button, okay?
Okay, 5 seconds. Hey, that was cute. That's a new one.
That is brought to you by Kamisha of Kamisha Reviews. Yes, that lovely graphic. Yes. So, how you
I
doing today?
like. I like. You know?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Doing good, grandbaby weekend and getting some stuff done. I'm still writing this treatment and you know, so it's a lot to do, but it's better
Mhm.
to be busy than not.
There you go. There you have it. Yep. There
Yeah.
you have it.
How your week
Yeah.
been? How your week been going?
It's been hectic. It's been a lot of things going on, my personal life, work life, but it's been hectic, but I can't complain.
Right. You got your health, there's a lot that you probably could complain about, but there's always people doing a lot worse, so why bother, you know?
That's a way to look at it. Yeah, no, I'm not complaining, like I said. So, all right then, you want to get into it? It's the backup plan this week on Ready to Love. So, what did you think of the backup plan?
Yeah,
we
backup
start
plan.
off with Tommy in the men's lounge, and Donovan has his first go round at the men's lounge. He says he doesn't know what to expect. He gets there, and Uncle Nephew Tommy is talking about, yeah, so you guys, you're going to have a backup plan. You got to have a backup plan. And when you have your backup plan, is your backup plan stable?
Right. Yeah.
so so I guess the idea, is that who's your second one, not the number one, but the number two.
Right.
So I'm curious to see who these guys are picking as number two, because some of them haven't even picked the number one yet.
Right. Well, listen, you would not take a trip in your car, a long distance trip, without a spare tire. So you got to have a backup plan at all costs.
Are
You
you
know,
trying to say that women are like spare tires? Because that's what it sounds like.
I I plead the fifth commandment.
Yeah, so you plead the fifth commandment.
I mean, I know it's amendment, but I need Jesus. So,
Yeah, you aren't fibbing about that one.
oh boy! But I'm a follow your lead like we always do, and you go subject to subject, so I can start grilling these people because a couple of things got me annoyed with this episode.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm gonna be finding out what that is real soon. Let me take care of some business here on the stream, okay?
I got you. Yeah.
You're gonna do your
So.
duty do.
No, I was gonna sing the theme song. I sang it last week on the air, and because you were doing something in the
Oh, okay.
background, you were doing some back office stuff, and I
Yeah.
was singing the theme song.
I I
I think,
missed I missed all that. I missed the you
yeah,
guys
I
you
mean,
guys heard you guys heard Alex with the theme song, and you guys didn't tell me about it. I don't know how that happened, but I
yeah,
hopefully you did it justice.
of course I did. I'm very gifted, talented in that area.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a man of many gifts. You know.
Yeah, of course, of
Now
course.
I'm sounding like Laverne now, very arrogant, cocky.
Absolutely, you are. Absolutely, you are.
Mm-hmm. Sound like Laverne, Demetrius, all these guys. Now Donovan, all these guys kind of arrogant and cocky this season. Woo!
Yeah, I've been looking at that too. That is interesting. Hi there, Charlene. Glad to have you in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, and so what do you think about you know, like you said, the guys seem to be a little cocky. I I don't know what's really going on with these guys. Is it because it's the DMV? Is that kind of like I've been hearing that it's kind of like the DMV is kind of like Atlanta, and
Well,
the guys really, I mean, these women are really struggling to find decent guys to date, basically.
yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I agree with having, the backup plan or the plan B or the plan C, because that's,
Well, yeah, just seeing what your
well,
options are. I guess I
right.
like that term better. But yeah, just seeing what your options are because nobody's locked in and nobody's committed to anyone. No one said that, we're in a committed relationship. So yeah, I get that. But go ahead. You're saying.
Right. I agree with that part of it. So we need to, still work the process. Now, the pickings are becoming slim. So at some point, you're gonna have to make a decision and lock down on, your number one or two. I think we still got another episode or two before they really have to lock that in. But next week they're gonna skip a week. I think they're coming back on the 18th.
Oh,
Um,
okay, okay.
yeah, but I think the guy still got, because there's a couple of people who I think they're locked in, but the person they're locked into is not locked into them.
Like
So
for example, who would you say that
Laverne,
fits?
Laverne and Ace, they come to mind. Laverne is locked in on Ace. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
Ace is as locked in on Laverne as he is on her.
Hmm.
I don't see it. I think Ace maybe still want to exercise some options, but
Mm-hmm.
Laverne is so locked in to her, you know, and YouTube streets or whatever, people are saying, maybe Laverne's just trying to get to the end, and Ace is that piece for him or that vehicle to get him to the end of the season. So
That's kind of what I've been wondering too, because I don't know, maybe it's me, maybe it's this season, maybe I'm just getting jaded with Ready to Love, but I'm not seeing a lot of these connections that people are verbally speaking about on the show. I'm really struggling to see the connection that they have with one another, literally, you know?
right, exactly. That's why I want to get to it. Topic by topic. Where do you want to start so we can get to these people and
Well,
say,
yeah,
what we think is going on here.
right. Well, let's go to the date with the chef Eric and Carmen.
Yeah.
We see Carmen and Eric, they meet up. He's bought her a lovely bouquet of flowers, and you know, he's uh he's greeted her with a hug, and they sit down at the table. And what do you make of it from there? Do you
Well,
see a connection? What do you see?
first of all, them two had forever and a day to make a connection, out
Mhm.
there in their life, because they've known each other already.
Mhm.
In fact, she has hired him on a number of occasions to cook
Yeah,
for
that's
her,
yeah.
and things of that nature. So why haven't they dated before? Second of all, she don't appear to me to be the type that likes flowers. She's not a flower type woman to me. She's not that soft. So
Yeah, I can kind of feel that. I can kind of feel that. I mean, I don't know her like that, but yeah, I thought that was interesting that he brought flowers for her, and
yeah.
I don't even know. Like, I think if she barely acknowledged the flowers, like it wasn't like it was a big deal to her. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think with Carmen, it's just everything is smoke and mirrors. I think she's playing with Eric. She's not really interested in him like that. I think she's going through the process. I think Carmen kind of gets off on messing up everybody else's game, kind of thing. If she see a woman interested in a man, she'll go over there and disrupt that whole process. And whether the man wants her or not, she'll be happy that she disrupted it. You know what I'm saying? So that she
Yeah,
kind of puts me in the mind of that, you know.
she seems like so far in watching her, she seems very competitive, and I'm struggling to understand what is the competition like.
Mm.
What do you think you're going to win at the end of this? Like, so what's the point of being competitive? Like, we're
Ego.
talking about love. Oh, ego. Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Ego. I
Yeah.
won. I
Well,
won. I didn't really want him, but you ain't got him. So
right.
you know that
She's
that's
very
how it is.
she's very dudeish in that way. She's
Right.
very masculine in that way. So I'm still not seeing the point of, like, you being competitive in love. Like, just do the process and get through it, and hopefully the goal is that you're looking to find somebody that you can be in a loving relationship with, not this competition. And I do see that in her. What you pointing out is very true. She seems to like when she came in on Eric and Dakia the other day when they were in the kitchen at the beach house, and
Right.
she started, she just kind of like purposefully went in and kind of broke their conversation, interrupted it, and then kind of put her body on Eric basically, and just was very very rude, very 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 childish to me. I don't know.
Right, right. And we, like I said, I don't think Eric is a strong enough personality for her. That's why I just think it's a game because he don't seem to be strong enough for her. Not even in stature to kind of match what you know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
kind of looking at that. I kept looking at them
yeah,
when they were hugging, and I said, "Is he shorter than her?" He was sitting at
right,
the table, and it seemed like his shoulders were almost parallel to the table itself. I was like, "Whoa!" It's
right,
he's not the tallest guy. He's not short. He has great posture,
right,
but it's just like she is so curvaceous. His body and her body when they hugged, it's like
right.
I
It's
don't
like
see him handling her like
no,
that. You know?
it's like she envelops him. He just totally
Yes.
disappears. You know,
Yes.
kind of thing.
Physically
So
and mentally. Like,
right,
when she took over in the kitchen, like I was saying back at the beach house, she just took over him. And because he's a client, which is kind of strange to me that, because he's a client and she's done business with him, that he couldn't say no to her. He couldn't even say it in a polite way. He couldn't even muster up the backbone, which, to me is not very sexy when a guy doesn't have a backbone.
right, exactly. You gotta at some point you gotta just, and they say man up, I guess, for lack of a better term. But you know,
Right,
what
right, right. Yeah, that expression, right. But
I mean,
basically, I mean, just person up, person up.
yeah, and just what I'm saying is, women they don't need to be led, but they would like to have their man be a leader. Okay, they would like to have a man that they know can stand up. They feel safe. They feel confident that he can take care of business. If they get in a situation where they have to sit down for a little while, or just going through a change of life or whatever, that this man can
Hmm.
step up and take care of his business. If they get into something out in the street or something, this man can protect her. I mean, they want women want to feel that. And, and,
Right.
and if they don't feel that, then it's not going to be a real attraction there with this
I
person.
I want to take a moment to just say hi to. I'm not sure. I'm maybe going to butcher your name, but I want to acknowledge Micris Miller, who just said hey to everybody in the chat. And I appreciate you being here. And I just wanted to say hey. Um, I'm sorry, I don't know how to exactly pronounce your name, but is it Micris Miller? But hey, glad you're here. And I did
Yes.
want to acknowledge you. But yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, my thing is, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I'll keep repeating it until I'm gone from here, is that um men, men, for me, I think men are meant to be leaders. That's just my opinion. Okay. You don't have to agree with me, and tell me in the chat if you disagree. And when I say men are meant to be leaders, doesn't mean that women aren't meant to be leaders and we aren't called to be leaders, but men are created, in my opinion, to be leaders. And to be a leader, you got to have a backbone. Hi, Miss Creative, how you doing? Hey there. To be a leader, you have a vision. That's the first thing about it. You have a vision, and you have a way of bringing people along and bringing them onto your page and sharing what your vision is with them. That's what being a leader is. But like for Eric, I just don't see it. I'm sure he's a leader in the kitchen and he's a great chef. The food the other day turned out really well. Everybody enjoyed it and all that good stuff. But a lot of things I'm not seeing with Eric. I'm not. I don't want to get
And you
all
know
into
what?
it.
You know what? And and, and,
Yeah.
and, and and we'll
Mm,
get into this later on, but there's
yeah.
actually something that happened between him and the Kia. We'll get into later
That,
on. You
yeah,
know,
we'll get
yeah,
into that. But I'm still on. Right now in this moment, I'm still on he and Carmen, and I'm just
mm,
saying, that scene with them at the restaurant. Let me just say this way. That scene with him and he and Carmen at the restaurant, and they were talking, and they were a couple of things about it. I don't like a man who gossips. A man who gossips is it's a big turnoff for me. Okay, and that's just my opinion. It's a very big turnoff. If you're coming to me and we're on a date, first of all, the fact that you're even bringing up another woman on our time, sir, this is our time for us to get to know each other, for us to figure out what's really going on between us, to make a connection. And you're busy talking about another woman. I'm not understanding that, sir.
Hmm.
And I don't like men who gossip. I find that very trite. I don't even like women who gossip, but I like men who gossip even less because, again, it's not for me. It's a very feminine. It's a less masculine tendency. So for a man to gossip, that's just like, no, sir, you're turning me off. But
Right.
the other thing that I noted, and I'm just gonna say this the best way I can, is that when Carmen offered up her arm and herself to be touched by Eric, I found that to be really creepy what he did and how he did it. So maybe that's just me, but anybody else out there, it's just something about that. No, creepy's not the right word. It was very awkward. No, that okay. Let me take the creepy back. It was very awkward, and
Hmm.
there seemed to be no chemistry whatsoever. So if anybody saw something different or you can explain it to me, please feel free. I'm open. I'm open. I want to see what Carmen saw, because I don't see herself really offering herself up seriously to this man, because I don't think his person is there. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, it just didn't seem natural, the touching between them and so forth. She pushed that
That's
issue.
it. That's the
Yeah,
word. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. She pushed that issue as if he probably wouldn't have done it or whatever the case is. But in any event, it just did not look natural, like there was any chemistry there whatsoever. So I wasn't buying it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So what's the next one you want to get to?
Well,
If you're done with Carmen and Eric.
so we're gonna move on to Demetrius goes out with the newer girl, one of the curveballs, and that's Tina. He takes
Mm.
Tina out, and they meet up for a date. So, what did you
Yeah,
think about that?
this is where it gets interesting. And I want to say hey to everybody in the chat. Please click the like buttons, subscribe, tell your family, your friends, tell everybody to come on over here and join us. As you know, we have a lot of fun over here. Um, but yeah, I think this way it gets very interesting for me because Christina, or Tina, as she likes to be called, she's definitely eye candy. Okay. And obviously,
Very pretty lady, very pretty young
yeah,
lady.
yeah, and I think a lot of guys would, just give her the time of day for a date just to see if there's chemistry, but to also, just sit across and look at her because she's so pretty, right?
Very.
But I think Demetrius, you know, she was kind of giving it to him at first. When I look at you, all I see is player. I don't see a guy, looking for, commitment or whatever. He's playing the game. So he got offended by that. Okay. So he started telling her about how, he know what his past was like. He believes in accountability. He's done the work. He's been to therapy. He's still in therapy or
He's
whatever the
still in
case is.
therapy, he says.
Right.
Yeah.
He's still in therapy and this kind of thing. But what he said was in the sidebar, he said, she's coming at me with all this stuff and she don't really even know me like that. And that's the kind of thing that can get a person's blessings blocked. As if to say he's somebody's blessing.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's God's gift and he's the blessing. And if they don't play their cards right, they won't get blessed by the God. And all this, just very arrogant. And it's one thing to be confident, okay, but when you start talking about you're a blessing in somebody's life and they should be happy to have you, and when you start coming across with that kind of stuff, that's just plain old arrogance and egotism and all that kind of stuff. So I just think that he just felt like he can sit back, just like he did on the bus a few episodes ago, and sit back and let women come to him. That's just how he feels. That's him, Laverne, and even Donovan now is coming across with that kind of air.
Yeah, they're interesting. The men this season, and the men in DC just seem to be very interesting to me. And I don't know, maybe it's my age showing, but I'm just so glad that I'm not bothered or stressed about dating, because if that would be what would be available in my area, I would just be at home with a book.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I would just be at home with a book because I don't see it. I mean, like, like you said, he said it in the sidebar. He didn't say it to her. And I want to say this now. I want to go back on what you're talking about. I want to say that I could see him being taken back as he was, and but I think she had an excellent point. I think Tina had an excellent point. It was smart for her to just be very direct with him and say, "Look, I saw you at the beach house a couple of days ago, a week ago, or whatever, and you're kissing this lady on the lips, talking about he and Sabrina. Sabrina's nibbling on your ear from that truth or dare game. So, sir, what, do you even really see yourself, talking to me seriously or having an interest in me? Or, it's her right as a woman or his right as a man, anyone on a date to find out what are your intentions. And then later on, as he went along, he did say that he liked that about her, that she was direct and that she had a vision and a goal for herself, and that she was clearly stating what she was looking for, basically, right?
Yeah.
And
And
so I think she was right in that. And so they both kind of, maybe it started a little rocky because she wanted to be direct and get to the point of, are you trying to be a player? And, he said that he wasn't. So, nothing lost in her strategy there. But yeah, but the whole thing, like you said, the sidebar where he was saying, she gonna block her blessing. Oh
mm,
my God, that to me,
yeah,
like it went on a straight downhill decline when he said that, because I thought for a minute the date was going well, but I
yeah.
don't know. I see a lot of, like you said, it's a little bit of egotism, but
And I think as a military man, you got to be direct with them because they tend to be direct with people. They
hmm
tend to be very direct to the point. And so by her coming at him like that, and he displayed a little bit of a thin skin for a military man. You
He
shouldn't do that to
did.
your
He
kids.
did. Like,
You
why is
know,
sir? Why is your skin so thin? You are exactly right. I want to bring up. Thank you for bringing this up about him being a military man, because I had a point earlier. I almost forgot it just now. But this is the thing I wanted to say too. So I'm really kind of fascinated by Demetrius. Certainly for me, it's not his appearance, it's not his looks, because I'm not into his looks. He wouldn't
you're
be
not into the
physically
milk dud. You don't like the milk dud.
he physically would not be my type. I'm just saying. IJS. I'm just saying over here. He's physically not my type. I'm not into beards. First of all, let's start there. I like a clean shaven man. If my man is going to have any facial hairs, it should be minimal at best, because all of that, combing through all of that, that's just not for me. But anyway,
What
what I
about the
want to
milk
say.
dud? What about the milk dud though?
Anyway, I'm not addressing that right now. I want to stay on what I'm talking about, and what I wanted to say about military men. Okay, what I know is that military men, military people, men and women, but I've only dated men. Um, the thing that's kind of sometimes scary, and I was starting to say that I find him kind of fascinating, as well as to a smaller degree Laverne, but more so Demetrius, because what it is that people that have been in the military, they begin to display a certain amount of stoicism, right? And so you see that stoicism, and in dating and interpersonal relationships, it really makes a difference when somebody is stoic, because it's kind of demoralizing if you don't know that person and you don't know where you stand with them. And that happens, I think, a lot of times when someone is stoic, they're not really very expressive. So what I'm wondering about Demetrius, is that a part of who he is, and what how does that filter, in fact, how does that factor into his relationships? Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, people that are stoic, you kind of never get a gauge on where they're coming from, internally, because feelings too. Feelings are not just about what you say. Feelings is about energy. Feelings is about body language.
Mm,
Eye contact, tonation when you do say something. All that involves feelings, and a lot of times when a person is stoic, it's hard to gauge what they're feeling. You hear their words; they're just talking, but do they feel what they're
mhm,
saying? Do they really believe what they're saying? Or are they just
mhm.
trying to or are they just trying to convince me of something? You know,
Right,
so
right.
yeah, you kind of get that from that. But I understand what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, because now, going back up here, uh Miss Creative says that Demetrius seems a bit cocky and off-putting. Yes, Miss Creative, he does. He does seem off-putting, but that's the thing. As
It's not
I'm
nothing
watching
new
it,
though. That's not nothing new with him.
right, right, right. But as I'm watching it, Miss Creative, what I was going to say is I I struggle with saying all of this about him and feeling this way because I do know, again, I have known many men, including my father, including men that I've been very close to and in love with, that when they're in the military, they spent that stint in the military, they become stoic by nature. It's almost like a second nature. And does that mean that they really aren't feeling you the way that you need them to be feeling you? And how do you deal with that? And I think for people that have been in the military, what they have to recognize is that unless you're dating another military person or you're married to another military person, that doesn't always go over. It's kind of the same thing with any profession. Like if someone was a judge and they came home, or a school teacher and they came home and they brought their job with them and they're talking to their mate like, like they're a school teacher and they're talking down to a student, or if they're a judge, they're being very judgmental. If they're a lawyer, they're lawyering. So being in the military is a thing that you sometimes just cannot take off. And I think people that have been in the military, that's a stressor for them, and that's a stressor in their relationship. If that makes any sense to anybody out here that's listening and watching us. Yeah,
That's
that's
something
that.
that very few military people can take that off. I mean, you got military people, they come home to civilian life and they got their kids bouncing quarters off mattresses and rubbing their fingers across the dressers for dust, and they conduct their homes as if they're still in the military. It's hard to take that off. It really is. And I don't know a lot
Yeah.
of people that have been. I mean, you got to be in the military for a lot of years to kind of really just get that ingrained in your soul, ingrained in your spirit. So if you've been in there for any substantial period of time, you can't take that off. It's difficult.
It's difficult. I'm not going to say what people can't take off, because I think they can, and I think not everybody is just so lets it become who they are. But I'll just give this example, and then we're going to move on. A very good friend of mine, her sister, who has been married her whole entire young life, like for over 20 years, let's say for over 20 years, to her college sweetheart, who went into the Marine Corps and made his way up worked his way up the ladder. She would just remind her spouse that sometimes, babe, hey, I'm not one of your trainees. And he would snap out of it. So I think the other thing is, so as a person, the other person in that relationship with the military person, it behooves us as civilians to let them know, hey, look, you're not at work right now. I'm not one of your trainees, or whatever that thing is, and let them snap out of it. Now, if they choose not to snap out of it and it's a deal breaker, then you have to let them know that too.
Right. Right.
So that's what I'm saying about Demetrius, because I find him kind of fascinating. On the one hand, I'd like to chalk him up as just being an arrogant type of guy, but is it that arrogance, or is it the stoicism, or is it both? I don't know. That's all. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I don't really know.
Yeah. 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 It's kind of difficult to get. It's hard to say that Tina. See, you can say she's looking for an older guy. I guess she wants the
Well, she
maturity.
said
She wants,
herself she was looking
yeah,
for an older
she,
guy. She
yeah,
told
she's
Paul
looking for,
that, right?
yeah, she's looking for an older guy. So she's comfortable with older guys. They seem more mature. They seem like they can handle their business a lot more, a little more established, stability, all those different kind of things she may be looking for, which is why Wiley got voted off or whatever. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And so moving forward, we have Donovan, who has decided that he gonna see all the women today. He
Yeah, yeah. Donovan had a good old time.
had a good old
Yeah,
time. He said, I'm going, but I mean, I'm not angry with him because he came in late as a curveball once again. And he needed to kind of play catch up, I think. So that's fair, right? That's fair for him to
hmm
play catch up.
right. But of the three dates, which was the Kia, Sabrina, and Carmen, who do you think he had the best date with, and why?
Mm, I mean, seemed about, they all seem good. I mean, I don't know. I think Donovan is this person. Okay, let me just start here. Donovan strikes me as this person. Like, he's like not necessarily gonna have a bad day, because let's start here. First of all, I think Donovan, now we're talking about types and all this stuff. Donovan physically is more my type. Okay. I think he's very attractive physically, but I've not really seen the personality from him that would be my type, if that makes sense. So like the physical is there, but the personality, the things that he talks about, that's not really where I would be, right? But
Right.
physically I find him very attractive, and I think that most women would find him attractive, and that seems to be the case because over and over again on his dates, he keeps hearing from these women that you look good. You look very good. Carmen says to him, was it Carmen that says, basically that if you were there when I first came in, you no, I'm sorry, it was Dakia. Dakia says to him, if you had been there at the mixer, I would have made a beeline for you. Right?
Right. Right. He
He's
did
he's
say
a good
that.
looking he's a good looking guy, but the thing that happens sometimes with people that are extraordinarily good looking is that oftentimes they know it. They haven't
Hmm.
just discovered that they're good looking, and so sometimes are they kind of conceited? Do you have to
But you
deal
know
with
what?
that?
Aubrey, and I'm finding this in the show, and I found this last season, and I also find this in life as I travel throughout life during these times that women find themselves in positions of pursuing men.
Hmm.
Men seem to be more laid back, like they have the pick of the litter. Come to me. The numbers are in our favor. Our DMs are blowing up. Our messengers are blowing up. Women are
Wait,
sending
wait,
us
wait!
messages.
Our DMs are blowing up. Your DMs blowing up too, Alex?
Why you got to try to put me
Inquir-
on the spot? I'm
Inquiring minds want to
I'm
know.
I'm talking in general. I'm talking in
No,
general there.
no, don't
Uh,
backtrack now.
I mean, really, me. I just sit home by myself many times and just read the Bible.
Mhm.
I just
Mm.
read the Bible. That's all I do most times.
You know
But
what? You about to get struck down by lightning. Why are you sitting
what?
up telling that fabulosis fib? You're a liar. You're a born liar. A little inside joke there. You're a born liar.
I've been lying all my life. But it's really, I'm seeing this dynamic play out constantly. And you're seeing it so much more this season, where the men are so laid back, and the women are doing the pursuing. Whether Sabrina trying to pursue Demetrius, Precious was pursuing Demetrius, Joy pursuing
Precious was pursuing just
Clifton.
about everybody. Anybody that had a peen, Precious was pursuing. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm
listen,
sorry, but I gotta say it. Precious, in her 9 years of not being in a relationship, but only 6 months of not having sex, she was
what
pursuing a lot of stuff.
was it 6 months or 3 months she was celibate? Was it 6 or 3?
It,
I'm not even sure, but whatever it
whichever
was,
one. But my
yeah,
point is, if you listening to the math, okay, 9 years without a relationship, a steady committed relationship, but only 3 to 6 months without the sex. Come on, so
right,
you do the
yeah,
math. Okay, the math ain't mathing.
yeah, and the math don't lie, but you know. Like I say, 2 plus 2 is 4. It's always been and always will be. But if these guys can sit back and get their pick of the litter, there's no sense of urgency on these guys' part. To really go after and pursue. And I just, if you look at the show from the first episode, you see that even with Paul. Paul wants to be pursued. You know, you see that, and it's like, okay, this is kind of a strange dynamic, because naturally, men are the hunters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, men are the hunters. We tend to go after the women, see the one
Mhm.
that we like, and go after them, or go after her, or whatever the case is. And
I,
that's just not the case this time.
okay, yeah, you're right. And Misha agrees. She says with what we're saying. She's saying that he's attractive, but I'm not attracted to him because I've never really seen his personality or motive. And I agree. I agree.
Hmm.
That's so true. I have not seen Donovan's personality or motive, and that's kind of what I was saying to you earlier. I don't really get him. He's
Yeah.
a face. That's it. You know.
Well, he was a curveball. We're still trying to get to know him and understand him. Laverne, not Laverne, Cornbread. He wasn't there long enough, but the short
Right.
the short time he was there, we knew he wasn't really there for commitment or marriage. He like
Right. Well, he
he
said
like
that. He said that he
yeah, he
just
like
wanted to have children and no, nothing on paper. So my thing about these people in the paper of marriage, I compare it to this. People say marriage is those people that say marriage is just a piece of paper. I say to you guys, so is money.
mm-hmm,
So if you don't like pieces of paper, I'm assuming that you also don't like money either.
right.
Okay,
And
that
and
that's
and,
that's
and
my take on that.
right. And why are we in business? In business, most of us to make money. And then one thing people don't like to come to grips with is that marriage is really at its core a business arrangement. Just like you need a business license, you need a marriage license. It's business.
Right.
Now all the
Right.
love and stuff is great. That's great. But you have to handle your business because if something happens to your spouse, there's assets to divide. There's if you get
Correct.
divorced, you got to
But
divide
without
this.
that piece of paper that you people want to blow off, without that piece of paper, you have no entitlement.
No
Women,
entitlement to
women,
nothing.
you have no entitlement that are living right now with the guy. Let me tell you, because a person that I knew, and that I was actually in my spiritual family, didn't recognize that the person that they were living together with, that if anything happened to that man, that she had no entitlement to the property that they had been maintaining together, this house. She had no entitlement to his insurance. She had no entitlement to anything. Now, insurance, yeah, you can be a benefactor without being a spouse. That's correct. But in terms of a lot of other things, like you're in the house, I've literally heard of and seen where in my family, where a person who was living with the man for 20 years and took care of them through their illness until their death, that when he died, his adult children came in and they seized everything and they allowed her to go to the funeral, and they locked her out of the property because they had every right, because that piece of paper that people want to dismiss and be dismissive about. Well, we live in a country that's run by laws, so laws are about contracts. And as my old
Right.
pre-law professor used to say, if it's not written down, it's not worth the paper that it's not written on.
Right. And
So
I'll go a
that's a
step
real
further.
thing.
That's a real
Hmm.
thing. And I'll go a step further. You mentioned children coming in and locking the wife out. I know situations personally and have heard of situations where people were separated for like 20, 25 years. Okay.
Hmm.
But had a girlfriend or whatever the whole time. Okay. This
Exactly. This is what
this man
happened. Go ahead. I want to hear your story. Go ahead.
this man dies. Now here come the wife who he ain't been with in
Hmm.
20, 25 years collecting money
Doesn't matter. She
because
got she got her piece of paper though.
that's it. She's collecting money. So she go to court or wherever, she's entitled. She's the legal spouse. Legal, that's the word. She's the legal spouse, not the
Legal. Why?
girlfriend.
Because right. Wait a minute. Legal partner and spouse. Why, Alex? Because what? Because it's on a piece of what?
Paper. They have a license. Marriage license,
License.
you
That's
know,
well, but
legal document.
people want to keep playing around with this shacking up thing. They can go ahead with that, because I'm not the girl for the shacking. So knock
Right.
yourselves out.
Right. So we
But
kind of got
anyway,
off a little bit, but that
we
needed to
got
be
a little
said.
bit off,
Mhm.
but I mean, really, it's a true thing. But okay, so moving forward, we're looking at Clifton on a date with the Kia. How did you
Yeah.
think that went? How do you think that date went with the Kia? Because I think the Kia, I like her. I think she's a very interesting person, being a cancer survivor. She's a systems engineer, so she's clearly very intelligent and bright. She also runs a dance studio, and then we just find out on this date that she prints out T-shirts. So she got a T-shirt, but she's got it going on. She got
Yeah.
101 jobs, and she got it going on, and she's pretty.
Yeah. And that's what I meant by, women, they're not necessarily looking for a man to lead them because they're handling their business. They would just like to know if I sit down for a minute, can you take the reins and do what a man's supposed to do? That's it. But she taking care of her business, and she
Yeah,
she also she also
she
seems
is.
like a lot of fun. Obviously, she's a survivor,
Mhm.
and her and Clifton, and Clifton always, he has this thing with these sexual innuendos, and the Kia and Joy has
The
bought into
entire
that.
cast. Yeah, the
Yeah,
entire cast seems to have a thing this season with that.
yeah.
Well,
So
so what oh, go ahead.
no, say so the Kia and Joy kind of bought into that. Clifton likes that kind of thing. So when he was feeding her the oyster, you know, and she took the oyster, which is supposed to be a natural aphrodisiac, supposedly, or whatever. I don't like
Right.
oysters myself, but that's just me.
Yeah,
But
I don't
she,
either.
yeah, but she said, "Oh, you just wanted to put something in my mouth." And he said, "You damn right," like that. So so they went back and forth playing with that kind of thing, and that's what they do. They have fun. So if both parties are accepting of that, then there's nothing offensive. And I think they had a great date. I think to Clifton, the kid took some steps forward. I think Joy is still his number one, but the key
Mhm.
is really creeping up to be a close second. So I think Joy better watch
Mm.
herself.
Joy better watch herself. Well,
Mhm.
speaking of Joy, so Joy goes out with oh God, help me with this guy's name. P.O. Paul. P.O. Paul.
Help you. That's your boyfriend right there. That's your boyfriend. What you talking about? Help you with it? You like Paul?
Don't send me running to the bathroom to throw up. Come
You
on
like
now.
listen. That man is like the post office. He always deliver. Don't you know
I'm
that?
not sure what he's delivering, but okay. But and Joy didn't seem to know what he was delivering either. So it's not just me. Joy said he clearly is friend zone. This is she's kind of like, why I don't know why he's wanting to meet with me. Um we're just friends. We got this friend thing going. He better not try to make a move on me. She's saying all of this in, like you said, the confessional or the sidebar. She
Right.
doesn't tell this to him, but even her body language and her conversation, I think, like we women, especially mature women, we know how to direct men into the direction we want them to go because clearly we're saying, without saying, you ain't the one.
Right. Right. And you know what's funny is that Paul has
Hmm.
been getting friend zoned a lot. That's why I think he's going to be the next to go. You know, if all these women are telling you, I see you as a friend, a hangout partner, or so forth and so on. Why are you there? There's no love connection there. You met some
Yeah,
buddies.
yeah, the person that actually liked him, which was Precious, he wanted to get rid of her. So you know what? If he's the next to go, then that's on him because the one woman that really liked him and had a well, I guess he thinks that Tina supposedly likes him too. So maybe he's got that in common. But I think
Aubrey,
Precious really liked him more so than anybody.
Tina has her pick of the litter. And I think Paul was probably the first one that, I guess approached her as far as the older group of guys. So that was her first taste
Mhm.
of it. But as she started mingling about, I think Paul dropped down a little bit. He dropped down a few notches, actually.
I'm sure he
That's what I
did
believe.
with handsome Donovan and others that are showing interest, and even in enigmatic Demetrius, being so interesting and fascinating. So yeah, I think
Mm.
Paul would probably maybe not be the on the highest on the list, but I could be wrong. Hey Tanisha, how you doing? And welcome in. I don't know. Paul, he's just, he's not my type, but I've heard in group, okay, so speaking just for a moment, in Facebook group, I've seen where a lot of women find him to be very attractive.
They're not on the show though.
Yeah, true that.
You know what
They're
I
not.
mean?
They're not.
those,
They're not.
those are the women in the Facebook group. They may like him. This is not a put down to Paul, but the women
Mm-mm.
on the
Paul isn't a
show,
bad looking guy either. I
yeah,
want to say that. I thought Paul, when I looked at him after even the first mixer, I thought Paul's a nice looking guy, but for me, it's a personality.
yeah, if you keep getting friend zoned, just like, okay, why am I here? It's going to come to that, at some point. So, yeah, but I think Tina, she does like older men. He was her first interaction, I guess, with the older sector on the show. But now that she's been mingling, he's definitely dropped down a couple of notches, without a doubt. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about Ace and
Yeah, this is
Laverne?
this is for me, I'm still having a hard time reading Ace and trying to see who she's really interested in. She hasn't shown me anybody she's really interested in. Now, Laverne
That's
has
true. That's
now,
true.
yeah, Laverne has selected her as his piece, as his this, as his everything, or whatever the case may be, as his Jill Scott and Michelle Obama and all this other kind of stuff. Um, and she may very well be all that. But I think that he's more locked into her than she is with him. Now, obviously, there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes, off camera, and stuff that we don't see, conversations we don't hear, and things of that nature. But from what we're seeing on the air, I don't see her expressing interest in really anybody. So if she come out and say I'm interested in so and so, that would be a revelation to me because I have yet to hear her say that. Have you?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, I 100%. She hasn't been very expressive, and she just kind of what I hear her doing is like she's like a puppet. She kind of just says the things that need to be said. And somebody said it earlier today. I think on Kamisha Review, somebody said, some of these people are really good at flying under the radar. And I will have to say, even though I do like Ace, I think she's a nice woman. She seems to be a sweet person, but Ace is flying under the radar. Like I'm trying to figure out, but I guess she's not throwing away because Laverne is maybe kind of keeping her there. But Laverne is also flying under the radar. I think Laverne is going to be the next person that's going to be dismissed. He's going to be the man that's going to be dismissed next week. I can see it because um what's her name? Sabrina is shown in a scene, like a little snippet of it, where she's leaving the restaurant and she is fussing at Laverne, and we've not seen her fuss at anybody like that.
Yeah, she's very calm and cool and collected. So why is she fussing with Laverne? I mean, she's really like, you got to get over yourself, and she's storming out the place. So what happened? I'm
I think Laverne is going to be gone. I think that's what it is. I think he's being dismissed, and when she's having a conversation with him, this is my guess. This is my theory, guys. I think that they're having a conversation, and she's been sent to let him go, and rather than accept it, I think he kind of turns up on her, and
but you
so
know what though?
she probably had to say what she said.
But you know what though? Remember some episodes back, them two had a history where he
What?
was calling her up and she said, I will call you back and never did. So
Okay, so and
he could still be harboring that stuff. Laverne got a big ego,
of
and
course, yeah,
and
he
and and the,
does.
and the fact that she hung up that phone and said, I'll get back to you, that's very dismissive. You don't just dismiss Laverne to him.
Oh, he's special. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
believe me, he's harboring that.
He's the
He's
big man
holding
on
that.
campus. I forgot. Oh, I
Yeah,
forgot. He's a big man on campus
he's holding
on that
on to
Air
that.
Force. Yeah, he probably is. It could be, but that's very silly and childish, though, because
But
it's a whole dating show. And if a person doesn't call you back, move on. Simple.
mhm,
Move on.
right, yeah. And sometimes the
Like,
producers do a good job of, putting two people together that they know not going to click. For the confrontational aspect, little drama. It's good TV, but them two just don't mix. There's something about him that rubbed her the wrong from day one, and she just did not. She was not feeling him. That's why she didn't call him back.
yeah,
You
I
know,
guess I guess so, because whatever the reason was, she didn't call him back. So again, I say move on. I mean, it's like guys haven't called me back at times, and guess what? I moved on.
right,
Um, and speaking of moving on, that's what we're gonna do now.
right.
We're gonna move on to the date with Tori and Precious.
Lord,
But
what was
we
that?
all were anticipating from last week's little snippet that they showed us on the what's coming up next. We saw that um Tori was going to kiss Precious at the dinner table. And I was expecting it was going to lead somewhere, but was I right?
No, because
Foiled once again.
foiled
Foiled
once
once
again.
again.
Yeah. See, here it is
You-
that Tori would have
I
got away with it if it wasn't for them darn kids. Remember on Scooby Doo? They always you ever watch
Well, why
Scooby
do you
Doo?
think why Alex,
Oh my god!
why do you think it didn't go any further? What did you see on the date with Precious and Tori? What
Too much time.
happened because he kissed her?
Too much time. First of all, had elapsed.
Mhm.
They developed a real close connection in the first episode at the mixer. They sat there for a
Mhm.
long time talking, and we
Right.
felt then, oh, they got a connection. This might
That's
be
what I
something here,
thought.
right?
That's what I
So,
thought. That's why I
th-
said foiled again, because
yeah, that's what everybody thought,
that's twice they've done that to us. They've tricked
right?
us.
That's what
Right.
everybody thought, right? And then you got all
Mhm.
these episodes that go by, they're not mingling with each other,
No.
at least on camera. So
I've got a
now,
theory about that, but go on.
so
I'm
now,
gonna share my theory. Mhm.
so now, Precious is about to get eliminated, and
Mhm.
she gets a little desperate to stay. You can see she starts chasing Demetrius and so forth. She's a little desperate to stay and prove herself. So her thing is
Mhm.
probably like, listen, I'm gonna go back out with Tori again to see if there's something there, because
Mhm.
something happened between those 6 episodes where she felt like nothing was there. And
Mhm.
in his act of desperation, because he feel like he's losing Sabrina because she's all over Demetrius and so forth. In his act of desperation, he reaches over or he leans over to kiss her. Now
Yeah.
she didn't lean into him. He leaned all the way over the table to get to her lips.
He kinda came around, but yeah, he kissed her. Okay, so
Right.
then what? Then what? Well,
So
how was it
w-
received
he
by
sat
her?
he sat back down. There was no electricity at all. She said there was nothing. He said there was nothing. Now, did he
He
say
said
there
that
was
only
nothing?
because she said it first, and because he could see in her face that she was like dismayed by the kiss. But I got a theory about that. I'm going to jump in here because I
Mm-hmm.
got a theory about this. I feel like this about Precious. I feel like Precious is the woman and the person that when she connected with Tori at the beginning, like we both noted during the mixer, right?
Right.
We saw them sitting there engaging in a very thoughtful conversation about their mothers and about the separations from their mother and the rejection from both of their mothers on individually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like what happened was because there could have been something real and serious. I feel like what she did was she self-sabotaged. So rather
Uh-huh.
than spending the time to get to know him, and not that they needed to be a trauma bonding between them, but she just decided that that wasn't for her and she kind of walked away from it. So when he kissed her, whether she felt something or not, I felt like she was obligated to deny what she felt. That's what I think. That's what I think is really happening with her because if you watch her, she's liking all the people that she knows. If she's reading the room, she's a very bright woman. We know that. She's very articulate. She's very bright. She's a professional woman, as she's been proclaiming on the episodes, the last couple of episodes. I'm a professional woman. What is it? She told Demetrius, give me a chance to prove myself. She enjoys trying to prove herself to people who don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to prove yourself for one to Demetrius, girl, you ain't even his type. I can see
Yeah.
that, and I think even Stevie Wonder could see that. Okay. You ain't even
Mm-hmm.
his type. So what you trying to prove yourself to him for? He doesn't want you like that.
Mm-hmm.
Stop throwing yourself on the men who don't want you. But with Tori, who was maybe, and yeah, I will agree that Tori probably is doing it more so because of Sabrina kissing on Demetrius, right? But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, at some point, we as women, we've got to start, as my mom says, love that person who loves you. You cannot
Yeah.
spend your entire dating life single saying you want to find love, you're ready to love, but you're only chasing after the man that's rejecting you. That's foolish. That's very foolish.
Yeah. I know a lot of people today lonely and alone because they spent a lot of years waiting for Mr. or Mrs. Right or perfect. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. And I just think that the date with Tori and Precious on both ends of it, both of them,
Hmm.
was a date of desperation. That's what it was. And it clearly
Hmm.
showed. They were both desperate to find something to cling on to find a reason to stay on the show. Why should I be here? And I'm telling you, if Tori keep talking about poking people's kidneys, he's going to be gone next because he got a thing with this kidney stuff. I don't know where this is
Yeah, I'm
coming
not
from.
understanding that. If anybody out there and that's watching, if you can, and you're watching us live, and hey there to the people watching us in replay too. That's awesome. And guys, by the way, would you just click that like button while you're here? I sure would appreciate it. Okay. I don't really understand his fascination with kidneys either. I really don't get it.
Well, I guess that's his fun way of saying. I guess he feel like he's well endowed. So I guess he feel
But
like
it's
if he,
not
you know,
it's not going over well with the ladies. And I mean, I think that's something
mm,
that you know what? I never could understand why a man would say that to a woman when it's usually pretty obvious if you're well endowed or not. If I'm on a date
mm,
with you, we go dancing or whatever. Those things are all very easy to find out without even taking your
right,
clothes off. Okay, so I
right.
don't understand the guy that's got to brag about. If you're well endowed, trust me, women have already peeped it out.
Mm. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I don't get it either. But I guess he carries it around like a badge of honor. He's confident in his sexual prowess or whatever the case is. But it hasn't been going over well with the women because the women are like, hey, listen, I like my kidneys. Don't be damaging my kidneys or whatever. So it's not going over well with them. So
Right. Again,
it's like it's
Again,
like
it's kind of like somebody that's real good looking walking around saying, "Hey, I'm real good looking." I mean, those things are obvious. So,
it's like for
I'm
instance,
not really
listen,
sure what's the point of that.
when's the last time you heard Paul say, "Call me PO because it's the post office I deliver"? Now he hasn't said that in about the last 4 or 5 episodes. He said that in the first episode. It didn't go over well. He shut it down. Okay, at least from
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah, I gotta
Okay,
give him credit. I gotta give him credit. At least he learned because I don't understand where Tori. Somebody said once again I'm gonna give a shout out to Kamisha Reviews and her panelists earlier today. They had a really wonderful podcast, and I just want to say like somebody else said it. They said that with this whole thing, like, I'm sorry, I just lost my whole train of thought.
well, I'm looking at,
I'm
yeah, I
sorry.
know it happens. I'm looking at Miss Creative, and she says Tori is a weird one, and he's coming across weird right now. You know, with this kidney
Don't
stuff
be
and his
talking about my Tory. I like Tory with his
listen,
long locks. I
yeah,
like him.
yeah, being a nice guy, being nice looking or whatever, don't stop you from being weird or being considered weird. So,
Yeah,
he gotta,
yeah.
he gotta, he had a juncture
Made
in
me
the show
awkward.
right now where he has to
Mhm.
reinvent himself fast. You know, reinvent
Mhm.
himself in a positive way and kind of get off of this Sabrina thing. He got to figure out a way. If Sabrina really wants him, she got
Mhm.
to do like she's doing the other guys. She's pursuing the other guys, but she's not pursuing him. But
We
she
don't
say she
see
likes
her.
him.
Yeah. Right.
You
We don't
know,
see her on screen. You're right. We do not see Sabrina pursuing him on screen. We do not. We see her pursuing Demetrius. We see her,
mm,
obviously she had a nice date this week with Donovan, but no,
right,
we don't see her pursuing him. And I'm concerned about that because like you said, he does seem to be like one and done. He seems to have
mm,
made up his mind that Sabrina is the one for him, but he's negating the process. Or
right.
or or the other thing is maybe his person isn't there because have we looked at that? Maybe his person isn't there.
Yeah, I mean I'm looking at that as well. And his person may not be
Mhm.
there. I don't believe Carmen's person is there. So there may be a few people who I don't
Mm,
believe that their person is there. They're
that's a
there.
good point. Carmen's person is definitely not there.
Right.
Carmen is going to require a very strong man that is really into her, and I don't see that being any of these guys. The one guy that I think that could handle her is Clifton, and I don't think he's into her like that.
No, he's into Joy and Dakia. Those are the top two. Carmen, I guess she's trying to weasel her way in there, but she's not going to get above Joy and Dakia, in my opinion.
Right. What did you think about in the men's lounge as we move forward? What did you think about Laverne is busy trying to tell the men what they should do and where they should be at in their process. And it seems like he got a little bit annoyed and snappy with fellow veteran Demetrius when Demetrius kind of interrupted him. What did you make of that?
Well, you got two alpha males, and that's not going to go well. You know, both may be used to giving orders, or used to structure, or used to this, or used to that, or doing things their own way, and so you're not going to dictate to him what he should be doing. That's just not going to happen. And them guys took it, whether they
You're
took it
saying
the
you're
wrong
saying
way.
by him, you're saying Demetrius, right? You're saying
Demetrius,
Demetrius is
right,
not going to
right.
be he's not going to be bossed around or told what to do by Laverne.
No, no, that's
Okay.
not gonna happen. And these are two military men, so that the alpha, two alpha males, that's not gonna go over well, But I think in total, when you're dealing with males and egos and stuff like that, a grown man is not going to be told by another man what you should do, or what I think you should do, or whatever the case may be, unless you're doing it in kind of a strategic way, a empathetic way, sort of a leadership type way, but not forcing the issue, whatever, where it can be received well. Because in order for a message to get through, a person has to be in a position to receive. It could be the best message in the world, but if a person's not in a position to receive it, they're just not going to get it. They're not going to accept it. Forget it. So I think what Laverne did was he went at the guys. You guys should make a decision. Don't do that to these women. Who are you, the savior? Go take your cape off and go backstage somewhere and take your cape off. You're not coming in here saving these women from us. We're in the same game that you're in. And I think
Right.
the guys
Right.
found that offensive, that he would try to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because even the guys though the other guys didn't interrupt him, but you could see like when the camera panned the room, the other guys were kind of like doing their heads, and their facial expression was showing that, you know what, why don't you shut up, Laverne? But they didn't say it, they didn't interrupt. But instead, Demetrius was the one that spoke up and kind of tried to insert and say something. And then they went back and forth because then, Laverne was like, well, I didn't interrupt you when you were speaking, and so forth and so on. And until they just kind of, Tommy kind of said, okay, enough.
Right, right, right. So yeah, and listen, if Laverne is locked into Ace for whatever his reasons, and
Hmm.
it'll come to light like everything always does. If he's locked into Ace for whatever the reason, then let the other guys take their time. Why are you trying to push what you're doing with Ace on them?
Right.
What?
And then the understanding too, the other thing is not all the men have been there the same length of time, because you've got two men that are curveballs. You've got Eric and you've got Donovan. They
Donovan,
came
right,
into the process late, especially Donovan, who came in last. So they haven't had as much time. So you're right. And nobody, no matter what the circumstances, no one person can tell another person how emotionally how you're supposed to feel and react while you're dating or falling in love or falling in like. Nobody can tell you that. That's something that each individual person has to go through themselves and process.
right, exactly. So I think that if they continue to do these kind of things in the men's lounge, you're gonna see a lot more stronger clashes going on in the men's lounge, because these guys, for the most part, they're alphas. Clifton's an alpha. Demetrius is an alpha.
Clifton's
Laverne's an
definitely
alpha.
an alpha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm a little on the fence about whether Laverne's an alpha. Um,
that that
and
man's that
then
man's an alpha. That man, he got a great
mm,
career. Got a great career,
mhm,
military man. He's very confident in his abilities. He
mhm,
definitely goes after what he wants.
mhm.
He's not afraid to speak his mind. Now,
Okay.
will it
And
be
then you say the
accepted?
same thing. Okay.
Will it be accepted is another issue. But he's definitely alpha. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
he's gonna have it his way. He's like Burger King.
Okay, if you say so. I mean, he's got Ace under his spell, but I sure don't see it. But okay, all right,
Right.
all right, all right.
So
So so in the end of the day, in the men's lounge, the two women that fall to the bottom, surprisingly with one, which is Joy, who's been
Hmm.
everybody's favorite for the most part, but now is starting to kind of friend zone a lot of the men. So now she's kind of falling off their list. So Joy, and then Precious. Precious is not surprising. Precious has been falling at the bottom of the list a couple of times before. So
Yeah, and I knew
yeah.
last night between Joy and Precious, Precious was going to go. There was just no question in my mind.
Well, how did you
Um,
know that? How did you know that? What gave it away? I mean, what made you think that it was definitely going to be Precious?
the sense of desperation, and none of the guys really had an interest in her outside of the fact that she makes a good home girl. She maybe make a great bed partner, but not wife, not long term. Not
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I gotta okay. I gotta stop you right there. I gotta ask you something because this has been again, like I said, in Kamisha's review, shout out to Kamisha reviews. I really enjoyed her panelist today, right? We're gonna have to do that sometimes. We're gonna have to bring some people in and have a panel on he says she says, right? But what I want to ask you, so what did you make of when Demetrius during the last elimination talk, you know Demetrius led that, right? And we heard him say about AP that she didn't seem to be over her late husband. And, some people argue whether she was or wasn't. Put that down in the chat if you think that she was or wasn't. And if you're watching on replay, put that down in the comment section and let's chop it up. But getting back to Precious, Precious, he described her as a party girl. And he said that she still had a lot of party in her and that the men weren't interested in that. And a lot of people didn't quite know whether or not that was a euphemism, but I think that was a euphemism. He wasn't saying party girl like she's in the club. What do you think he meant by that?
I think he probably meant she comes across as a loose woman with
Yeah,
with
that's
without
exactly what I thought he was saying. But he was they
you
they
know
they used the euphemism because it's a nice way of saying they didn't want to say on a national, internationally broadcast show. They didn't want to say, "Hey, you're coming across as a slut."
Right. Right. You coming across as a loose woman who
Mm-hmm.
will give it up to anybody, that you feel an attraction to. And obviously she
Mm-hmm.
made it everybody's business to say she's been celibate for 6 months or whatever the time span has been, and that, she's kind of, horny right now. I mean, she made that clear a few episodes ago. So I think that kind of started to rub the guy the wrong way a little bit, because the guy's like, listen, if I'm away taking care of business and you get horny and the mailman comes, what, am I in danger? You know what I mean? If the pool guy comes, what am I in danger of losing you or something? So,
Right.
guys kind of get these crazy thoughts in their head if they
They
feel
do.
like the woman is loose, and our egos just can't deal with that. Now, to me, she's just very free sexually. She's a very free sexual person. She's very comfortable in her
Mhm.
womanhood, in her sexuality.
And her
That's all.
sexuality,
That's
yeah.
all that. That's all that is. It has nothing to do with being a tramp or nothing else. She is very comfortable in her sexuality. It's as simple as that. And still be a professional woman and still be respectable and all that kind of stuff. And she had a wonderful voice. I loved her voice. I'll
I
say
loved
that.
her voice too. I loved
You
her voice
know,
too. But so
um,
but so but what did you make of, and then on another thing on the elimination day, what did you make of Joy turning around the tables on Demetrius? He seemed a little shocked that she got a little assertive in her conversation and asking was he ready to love?
well, listen, we always talk about the male ego, right? Women have egos too. And
Absolutely.
she kind of sensed that, she may be going home, and she got very defensive and combative, because Joy is very fun, outgoing, and Joy is, I would say, she's sort of like, and I've been saying this the whole season. She's like Precious as far as, her sexuality and being playful and coming across like she could be your best friend, but she also comes across very sensual, like she could be a great partner, great lover. She has that thing Joy has, you know what I mean? And it's kind of hard to explain it, but she has that thing, that both sides of it, that men really really love, you know. But I think that when she felt she may be at this dinner to be eliminated, She listen. This is survival. Anything. If you corner a rat, they're gonna run around until you corner them. They're gonna fight. So that's
Right,
what
right.
that's what this was with Joy. You
So you're
know.
trying to compare Joy to a rat, basically?
You know what? You keep doing this to me. So, I'm not comparing Joy to a rat. I'm just using examples that pertain to the situation. But the fact that
Right.
she,
I get what you're saying. I do.
mm,
I think you're right. Anybody with any fight left in them, sometimes they, everybody's going to accept the possible elimination because she wasn't sure. She didn't know whether or not she was actually going to be eliminated, and so it kind of struck a chord in her, I guess. So it did show that she did have some fight and some interest in fighting for her position and staying on the show to see if there's really something there for her in Clifton to explore
right,
or what, right?
right.
And in the past, I guess the thing that I found a little surprising in past seasons of Ready to Love, we've seen that when someone had a strong enough connection that they would fight for that person. What I didn't see this episode is that I didn't see Clifton really necessarily in the men's room fighting for Joy, fighting for their relationship, fighting for her to stay. Like how does she end up at the bottom? Because, for example, it could have been Precious and it could have been Ace. Well, I guess she
Yeah,
has Laverne to fight for her. And you did say that he's an alpha, so yeah, he has a lot of
yeah.
pull in the men's room. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't. Did you see Clifton fighting for Joy in the men's debate and discussion about
he was very
elimination?
he was very quiet. You could see
Mm-hmm.
though that when the guys were saying, "I don't have a
Mm,
connection with Joy. I don't have a connection with Joy. I don't have a connection with Joy," you could see he
mm-hmm.
was very upset. It was bothering him because he looked as though she's about to get voted off and she's my number one. That's the look he had on his face. He didn't even comment. I don't even think he commented at all on the woman he thinks should go. I think when the guys were saying, Joy, 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 it threw him for such a loop. It took him totally out of it. And he never mentioned who
Right.
he thinks should go. To me, you just, if I'm wrong, correct me. But I don't think he ever said who he thinks should go in that
Well,
men's lounge.
that was weird to me. I mean, I just felt like he kind of left her out there hanging. That's
Mm.
what I saw, and that's what I felt. That
He
why would she
probably should
even
have
have to be
defended
at the
her.
bottom? Hmm.
He probably should have defended her the way Precious defended Paul when Paul was about to be voted off. Precious went to bat for Paul. Paul didn't go to bat for her. You know what I
No,
mean?
no.
And so I think Clifton probably should have went to bat for Joy, but he sat very quiet and, as you like to say, very stoic, and didn't say
Yeah,
anything.
he did seem stoic. I mean, I could see. I mean, he wasn't perfect with his stoicism because I could see. I felt like I could see some reaction, some emotional reaction on his face, but it was very slight. And because we have the benefit of the camera zooming in, but my thing is, you can see the expression on his face, but why not just go ahead and fight? It's
Right,
not enough.
right.
It's not enough to just feel something. Act on it. Take an action on your feelings.
And it's almost as if to say the look on his face was like, if Joy gets voted off, I still got the Kia. It almost it almost
Wait a minute, is that what you thought? You say it's almost as if. Oh, so that's the way your mind works, huh? That's the
yeah,
way
I
your
mean,
mind works when you get
right.
flooded with those DMs
Right, get flooded with those
on
DMs.
IG.
Yeah.
You say, well, if this one doesn't work out, I could always go back into the DMs and pull girl number 2 out or woman
I'm
number
waiting
3
for
out.
I'm actually waiting for H to send me a twerking video. So I want to see I wanna see
You mean a back shaking video?
your back shaking video.
I don't think that young lady can
Oh my
twerk, but
goodness.
she might can pop her back a little bit, but
Yeah,
that's about it.
that's what she was doing, popping her sciatica. That's what she was doing.
Yeah,
but
but
but I applaud her effort. But
mhm.
I think they got it right with Precious. I think Precious was trying too hard after her supposed elimination a couple of weeks ago. I think she was trying too hard, and I think she showed some desperation. And I think that just came across. You can't seem desperate. I learned that about being in business. If
Oh,
you
really?
walk, yeah, if you walk into a meeting And
Mhm.
if they even think that
Mhm.
you need them more than they need you lost.
Right.
You cannot walk in
Okay.
that meeting with the I need this deal. I need this deal. Once you start doing that, it's over for you.
Right, right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So
that's a good point. That's a good point. When you really at that point where they know that you're desperate or you come across as needing them more than they need you really don't have any leverage to bargain with.
no leverage whatsoever. And I think that's where she started to lose it, and it was downhill from there. You know,
Yeah.
and
Well,
so
what do you think about what is going on with
Eric and Dakia.
The Kia and Eric? Yes, thank you. What is
Mhm.
going on with them? I mean, like, it's very like, there wasn't really, she didn't really say what it was, but he did something to her and she doesn't want to go out on any more dates with him and she's through with him. And what is that all about? What is that all about? And then we see him even saying that next episode that basically that he's not, that he feels as though he hurt Dakia. So what do you think that's about?
This is all very, very sudden, um, but it reeks Phil and Shiloh from last season. And here we
I
come
wish
with
people
this.
would stop saying that.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
could
it
it? How
it it
could it? How
listen,
could it? Come on, come on.
listen. Let me tell you
Stay out of
something.
last season. Stay out of last
Listen,
season.
no, we're
Last
not
season
staying out
is
of last
over
season.
with.
Yeah,
Stay out of last season. It's over with. These
this is
two people. Go
this is
ahead. Go ahead.
residue. This is residue. Okay, it just from the way she was explaining this. Like I said, she didn't explain a whole lot, but she
Hmm.
was very serious when she
Well,
said
yeah,
this.
she was. She
Okay,
was very serious.
and we've been watching the Kia this whole season. She's always
Hmm.
laughing,
Yeah.
joyful, the sexual jokes, all that. She's not a very serious. She know how to have fun. Okay, but talking about
Yeah.
this, she said there was an incident between me. She did not crack a smile. Those big beautiful teeth she got were not showing. And she said there was an incident between me and Eric where I
Hmm.
will not go on another date with him. I don't want to be
Hmm.
bothered with him at all.
Right, right, and it almost sounded like she
Mhm.
was ready to leave the entire show, really, too. I mean, that it was
Right.
that bad. But I don't know. I mean, because Eric doing something. I mean, I feel like, besides him being a gossiper with his girl, Carmen, I'm trying to figure out physically what he would have done to her because he doesn't seem to be attracted to her or any of the other women on the show.
That's the thing. We don't know. He could have done anything. He could have smacked her on the behind, unwelcomed, or did something and just didn't make her feel comfortable. He made her
Allegedly, make sure you throw that in
allegedly,
there.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
allegedly.
I don't know. I do not see it. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't do something wrong, but the think that that's something that he did wrong was anything physical. I just don't see it because he seems like a guy that keeps his hands to himself. And
Mm-hmm,
again, I don't see him being attracted to her or any other woman on the show.
mm-hmm.
Um I don't really see it, so I was really kind of surprised that she would say that something happened. But I guess we'll have to stay tuned.
Or
Stay
could it
tuned is
be,
all we can
or
do.
or could it be a situation
Oh,
where she
mhm.
just being overly sensitive? That has happened too. So we that
Well, like
that
we
that's the
said
thing.
though,
We
she doesn't strike us as that type. I mean,
no.
she doesn't strike me. I can only speak for myself. She doesn't strike me as that type.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part of the question, okay, so let's go with what you're saying. I guess my other question then next would be, when did it happen and was it one of the dates that they recorded? Show roll the tape, roll the tape.
Well, if we're in this episode now, and she's saying she's not going to date him ever again, then we're not going to see the date. And obviously, this is unfolding for us now, but they already know the season has been shot. They already know about how this thing turned out, and they know what happened behind the scenes. We're going to have to follow it as the show, as a regular consumer, if you will.
Right,
But
right, as a viewer,
yeah,
yeah.
as
Mhm.
as a viewer, but I think that something happened that made her extremely uncomfortable, and she don't seem, to me, with all the sexual jokes and innuendos and stuff that she throws around, she's not easily offended by anything that is sexual or something like that. I mean, she'll buy into that and have fun with that. So what did this dude do to get her like this? To make her so upset? Because she's a free spirit. She's
I
not
don't
all
know about. I wouldn't call Dakia a free spirit. I
she's
think when
not
you
all
talk
stuck on
about,
herself like that.
well,
She's just
yeah, I'm
not.
gonna say she's a woman with a normal range of emotions, but I'm not gonna say she's a free spirit. There's nothing about her that gives me free spirit. Now, when you speak of free spirit and you mention Precious in the same breath, then I can see it. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, Precious
Mm-hmm.
strikes me as being very sexually liberated and so forth and so on. But Dakia does not strike me as necessarily being a free spirit. And you know how I'm going to say that? Because why? On the other hand, she's a systems engineer. I don't see her as being a free spirit. I see her as being a very reasonable, rational woman. Most people that deal with numbers are such. Not all, but most. And many. Okay, I'll say
In
that.
her professional life, let's say that. Okay.
I yeah, but as we talked about earlier, oftentimes what people how they operate in their professional life sinks into their personal life. It comes into play in their personal life. That's my opinion. That's my thought. You don't have to agree with it, but that's my thought about it. I just don't really see it. But as you said, as time goes by, as this season progresses, we're going to find out more, and we're going to be talking about it. Whatever we find out, as I'm
Right.
in those YouTube streets, as you're on the IG streets, we're going to find out more, and we're going to share it with all our viewers here, right?
Right. Right. Exactly.
And
So
then
I'm just interested because
mhm.
it's very sudden, it's very abrupt, and
Yeah, it was.
I was not expecting that to hear that from her.
Right. And then I'm going to say this other thing. I've been talking about the attributes of Miss Dakia, but I'm going to say this about Eric again. His attributes seem to be, basically that he's a very refined, keep his hands to himself kind of guy. We saw him on the date with Carmen. He only touched her because she requested it basically and put her arm and waved her arm in front of him,
Right.
just to get a whole touch of her arm. So we don't see him reaching across the table, planting his lips on a woman. We don't see him doing these types of things. So
No.
I don't know. I watch people, and I'm very observant of these people on these shows, and he's not doing all of that. He's not, and as you've pointed out, none of these men are being overly assertive with these women and pursuing them. The only one that I can say that has really been on it in terms of pursuing women that he was attracted to has been Clifton. He's
Mm.
definitely an alpha male. He definitely knows how to go after the woman that he's attracted to. But the rest of
Mm-hmm.
these characters, they
The
ain't doing it.
characters. Why
They're
do you
not. I
think
mean,
characters?
yeah, a figure of speech. But I mean, seriously, they're not doing it. And whether it's, camera shy or because they got it, they feel like they got it going on because it's the DMV and women and outnumbered men, blah, 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 blah. The only guy that I've really seen consistently go after the women that he wanted was Clifton. And I think
Right.
that's why a lot of women this season find him so darn attractive
Right.
because he's a real man's man,
Yeah, and
and that's just what it is.
there's a lot of things. Of course, he got the voice, he got the build. Women who are into beards, his beard is very nice. There's a lot of things about
And I'm
Clifton.
not even
You
into
know,
beards, and I think you're right about that. I'm not even into beards, as I stated earlier. I'm more of a clean shaven guy. I like my guy clean shaven, but I'm not even into beards, and I think his beard is sexy on him.
yeah, and it's like some women, you know, have said like you, they're not really into beards, but they like his beard and so forth, and the way he keeps his beard. So a lot of women aren't into bald guys. They want
I'm
hair on a
not.
guy's head. You know what I mean? So that's why
I like it.
you don't like the milk dud in Demetrius because you like
I
some
don't.
hair
I'm
on the
not.
head.
I don't have a thing for
Yeah.
bald heads. Although some men, and I will say again, not everybody is
Mhm.
different, and some people wear it better than others, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah.
Some guys look good with the bald head, and
Mm.
some guys really rock it. I think Common really rocks his head.
Right.
There are some guys that really rock it, but in general, just in general, I like a man that has some hair on his head. That's just
Right.
me. You know.
Yeah. And moving forward,
Yeah.
who do you think we always end with this? Who's
Mm-hmm.
your male and female MVP, right? And right now, and then who do you think? Because the next time is the man's turn to go. Who do you think is going to go?
Okay, so the question about the male MVP and female MVP, I have to say for female, I have to give, even though she's not one of my favorites, but I have to say that this episode, Carmen took the prize. Carmen took the
Hmm.
prize because
Wow.
she's out there, she's playing chess. She's like she says, she's competitive, and she's out there playing chess. She's moving these men around like chess pieces, especially when it comes to Eric. She's
Right.
moving him around like a chess piece because she can, and because he doesn't have a lot of a real strong backbone, in my opinion.
Hmm. Right.
So Carmen gets it this week for the women. For the men, I'm gonna have to say Donovan because he was a smooth operator on those multiple dates.
Yeah.
He has stamina. He has stamina. I'm
Right.
not saying they were all on the same day. Maybe
Mm.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't know. And then
Right.
also too because he remembered that it was Carmen's birthday. I thought that was
Right.
really cute. On the
Yeah.
date that he
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
bring out. That was thoughtful. So yeah. So
Right.
so this week Donovan gets the MVP for the men, and for the women, Carmen gets it. Who gets eliminated? Again, I have to go with Laverne. Next week, for the men, Laverne is going to be eliminated. What do you think?
As far as the women, you mentioned, it being chess, not checkers, and it is. Life is chess, not checkers. And
Right.
you mentioned Carmen is playing chess, but I also think in a much more quiet, subtle way, Sabrina is playing chess. Sabrina is collecting men at this point. You know what I mean? Because
Sabrina.
you have to,
Okay.
yeah, Sabrina is collecting men quietly. Because remember, first it was just Tori, then Demetrius. She collected Demetrius. Now she's collected Donovan. She's collecting men very strategically and very quietly in her own little quiet, sensual way. So I think she's playing chess in a lot of ways. She's just not as brash and bold as Carmen is. Okay.
Right.
So
That's a good point. That's
so
a very
so I
good point.
so I would say Sabrina is the MVP for me this week. As far as the
Mm,
men go,
okay.
who the men for? Let's see. Wow, this
You
is just
know, you know, you know, you know, you want to give it to
you know,
Donovan. He was the
I,
smooth operator this week.
I'll give it to Donovan because there hasn't been anything bad said about him yet, and people are still trying to gauge him. He did have those 3 dates. He was the
Hmm.
most active, so I,
Yeah.
I have to give it to him as far as him being the most active. And there's been
Yeah.
good feedback. There hasn't been really any bad feedback as of yet. So, as far as
No.
elimination, when the next time the men come around to be eliminated, I don't know. I
Hmm.
just I can't get past maybe Paul being eliminated. He keep getting
Hmm.
friend zoned. And if you keep getting
Mm.
friend zoned, you're not going to have a romantic partner. You're not going to have a love interest. Everybody see you as a
Yeah.
friend.
Well, what can he do? Hold that thought. Hold that thought for just a second, okay?
Yes, we need that right there. So, um, but yeah, I just think if you keep getting friend zoned, there's no love interest there. Everybody see you as a buddy, as a hangout partner, and then you just got to move on.
Paul, can I just say this? I feel like this. Paul, if you're listening, I'm speaking directly to you. Paul, you've got to learn how to treat women like ladies and like the women that they are. Women are not men, and even those that give you that home girl vibe or homeboy vibe or whatever that thing is, like in other words, like they're one of the boys, one of the guys, they still want to be treated like a lady a lot of times. They still want to be treated. They want to see that where's your vulnerability? Are you really feeling them? And that you can be chill. But if you're gonna
Hmm.
be that type A person, and that's fine, be yourself. I'm not telling you to be anybody but yourself. But if that's really who you are all the time, you really gotta 100% all of the time be go, 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 and like Carmen, I'm competitive. Then I don't really see why Carmen and Paul aren't together since they're both so competitive. But I don't think even she really likes him like that.
No, I mean he fed her the pickle, but that was about the extent of it. So,
Oh, you mean that big green pickle?
that big green pickle, that she was waiting for, and he was glad to oblige. But
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't see a connection between them two. I don't see it at
I
all.
I don't think Paul knows how to treat a lady. That's what I was trying to get to when I was speaking directly to Paul. Paul, I
Hmm.
think you really don't understand the male female dynamics at this big grown age of yours. I don't really see you really understanding it and operating in it. And but I think if you took the time to try to study women a little bit more, um, and just kind of dial back a little bit more. You dial back, and I'm going to give you credit, Paul. You've dialed back quite a bit from that beginning mixer where I couldn't stand you, not one stinking bit. It came to me today, like I was like, wow, Paul is kind of growing on me,
Listen, and
like a fungus, but
yeah, like a
still,
fungus.
he's growing, he's
Stop
growing
that.
on
That's
me.
not nice. Be nice. Be nice.
He's growing on me. Okay, but what
Oh
I'm saying,
boy.
he's kind of growing on me. He's shown a little vulnerability, but I don't see him showing that to the women.
Hmm.
Paul, if you could
Well,
just show that to the ladies, I think that would make a world of difference. You would become like the big teddy bear. Like people, like the women look at Clifton like that.
right.
You just got to show women that you have a heart, that you have more emotion than what you're showing. Trying to be tough and John Wayne, I don't think that's going to get you there.
Yeah, and like I said, he's come way off of that PO stuff, that post office stuff we deliver. He's come way off of that, and you can see him changing throughout each episode. At times he was very annoying, and then at other times you're like, Paul's all right, and then he gets
Oh,
annoying
so he
again.
grew. So you're saying he grew on you? He's growing on
It,
you? Is that what you're
in
saying?
some ways, because you see him trying to transition and trying to navigate,
Okay. Okay.
um and I mean, and people can only do that to the best of their ability. If they don't have the
Sure.
ability, they don't have the ability. But
Sure.
I think he's trying, to do
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm
you
saying
know
too. I
Mm,
do feel like he is trying. I agree with you.
right. So, but
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. They're skipping next week. I don't know why, but they're
That's
coming
okay.
back.
It's a bye week. I don't care. I'll take it. I'll take it.
But see, but we got to find another topic to do in between there and find some nice stuff to talk about. So,
Yeah.
you get back to me on that. But I'm here.
Absolutely. I've got some things in that whole dynamic of the male female interaction. So we're going to talk about it and we'll bring it to our viewers. But as we wrap up, would you like to share where our viewers can reach out and find you if they want to interact with you on a more personal level? Can they slide into your DMs?
There you go again. I'm, I'm not going to hear the end of this DM stuff. Yeah, but you guys can find me AW Leath 67 on IG, AW Leath, Leath on IG. And you can also find me on Facebook just under Alex W. Leath, as you see here. Very easy to find. Got a lot of things I'm working on and will be unveiled sometime in the near future. So, but in the time being, I'll be right here with Aubrey.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And you guys know how to find me. I'm actually Aubrey, and we're out.
All
Love
right.
you guys.
Love you. See you soon.